Hey everybody, Sam Amico with Hoops Wire Live. Another riveting edition here on 330 to go. Talking Cavaliers, maybe a little bit of NBA. Today I have a special guest, someone I've known for some time, long time NBA Cavs reporter, Spencer Davies. Covers the NBA for more than a decade out of Cleveland. Spencer, we go back a little ways. How are you doing? What's new?
What's new with me, man? I just don't know. If you choose a company, I probably work for it at this point. That's a freelancing life in NBA reporting, and obviously the stuff that I've done with the Cavs since I was in the locker room in 2012 with you when you held my hand and brought me into this world. So thank you very much. But I'm good, man. I appreciate you having me on the show.
Well, I'm glad that you joined. I was going to joke that you've always been sort of a father figure to me, even though. So, yeah, you know what? I don't remember how. Obviously, it was 12 years ago,
Yeah.
maybe, when
Yeah, more than that.
I was covering the Cavs, obviously, at the time for Fox Sports Ohio, which is now FanDuel Sports Network, and you were a student at Akron, correct?
Yep. I know exactly how this happened.
Connect? You tell the story, because I just remember picking you up at your house and bringing you to a Cavs game. That's all I remember.
Yep.
And we did it multiple times.
And seeing my little brother who's now playing over at Capital University and just was at Cleveland State the other night, right? Like, so it is crazy. So I remember I saw one of your tweets. I think it was I was on summer vacation in Ocean City, Maryland, and I was going into either my junior or senior year of college at Akron, and I actually direct messaged you. It was I think you followed me back or something like that after seeing some of my work on like I think my own blog or somebody else's blog or something like that, and just kind of started messaging that way. And then you helped me kind of crack into the Akron Beacon Journal because I honestly unlimited amount of emails to Scott Fagerstrom and Rich Stallsmith, who were running the show over there, and they had to bring me in because I was annoying them so much. So I remember the first time you brought me into the Cavs locker room, I was like, whoa, like all starstruck and stuff like that. My first story for Fox Sports Ohio when I was an intern with them in 2014 was with Alonzo G. I'll never forget that one. 2013. But yeah, no. So basically the way that we got hooked up was Twitter. And, I might be mixing up the years a little bit here, but I just remember, hopping in your car and we were going down to the arena. And I think maybe it was Mike Brown was coaching. I don't know.
Probably.
Maybe it was Byron Scott first,
and then Mike Brown.
Yeah. So we were around not the greatest years. Fun though, with obviously Kyrie Irving around. Dion Waiters came into the fold. You had Anthony Bennett as the number 1 pick in 2013. So I was just kind of tagging along with you there. And then lo and behold, not to make a long story too long, but when you brought me into that's when I got with Fox Sports Ohio, and I started doing my digital content stuff and interned for Connor Kiesel and Sheetal Kota at the time. And that's kind of what got me into this world. And, by the time I was done at Akron and I was covering the Akron Rubber Ducks and worked for the Arrows at some point, then we had Amico Hoops, and that kind of turned in what your website is now. But we were running that thing as a tag team. And we started the free agent tracker. I'll never forget any of that, man. So huge part to my career and got me started in this field.
Well, I saw your dad at a game, I guess it was last season, or was it the season before? It was either last season or the season before, but he came up and said, hey, thanks for, helping Spence get his start and all that. And I was like, I might have helped him, but he's taken the ball and run with it. I mean, you really have. I was telling Steve, my producer, before the show, that I'm like, he's not only a really good writer, and this is the way you have to be today. You're a really good writer, but you know all the digital stuff as well, the technology, the running video interviews, and running it, clipping it for social media. I mean, obviously the show is primarily watched by Cavs fans. If you're a Cavs fan, you need to follow Spencer. I'm not just saying this. He's the most interesting follow. And another writer and I, Bob Finan, who's been on this show before, were saying this a couple weeks ago. Like, man, his stuff is so good, and not just good, it's entertaining. And you really, really bring fans inside the locker room. I always say that about what we do is take the fans places that they can't go, rather than just recapping a game and you do video with Spencer German, after every game?
Yeah, we do Courtside with Cavs. It's our podcast, and we do post-game reports. Also, Anthony Meglin, shout out to him over at Cavs Roundtable right now. We were with a previous company before that, but then we've switched this season. So, but yeah, we could continue to do our post-game analysis and, kind of combine it with our podcast, Courtside with Cavs, do them after every game, on the road, at home, whatever it may be. And then, yeah, post a bunch of the post-game locker room reactions.
Yeah.
It's live.
I think we're still here. Are you still? Can you hear me, Spence?
I hear you.
Okay, good. We're live.
Yeah.
I was going to say I've run some of that video on the website that you and Spencer German do, from your YouTube page.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
It's
Cleveland Cavaliers Roundtable.
Right. Yeah. I was going to say, how do people find this? Obviously, follow you on social media. I think you have Blue Sky now. Is that right?
Yeah. I'm over at Blue Sky. I've got my Instagram at Spencer Davies. And if you want to follow my, work over at Clutch Points, you can go over there at the Cavs main page, and you'll see a bunch of my articles over there. Twitter, it's just pretty much everywhere, Sam. Like it's, I can't even keep up with my own stuff.
Yeah. No, I know. I usually go to the round table to find your stuff, which is obviously a new venture, but there's all kinds of stuff that you just type in your name, Spencer Davies, and Google it, and you'll find everything.
Yeah, and hey, if you want to take it a step further too, like while we're at it, like you said it earlier that I also cover the NBA. I started to do a lot of my NBA exclusive stuff with you over at Amico Hoops. I've continued that on, right? So I went to Basketball Insiders after that, and then just kind of made my way through going to league events and stuff like that and building relationships, and that's just kind of helped me get more of a feel for the league as a whole. And a lot of these exclusives that I do that you've aggregated before, obviously, I enjoy that because I get to see it from a different perspective, from a different coach, from different players that aren't around me all the time. So, for example, last night before the Toronto Raptors game, I talked to Jamal Shed because he just fascinates me with the way that he's picked up full court. He's a 4-year guard out of Houston who had a ton of success there, the second winningest player in program history. I wanted to just talk to him. And I think, one of my niches is finding those players that maybe don't get as much love, or maybe not the star power that they might have in the future or something like that. But I just did that for a place called rg.org, who I've been writing with for the last year and a half, and I really enjoy having that relationship too. So it's all over the place as far as my work goes. I always joke. I joke with my family. I'm like, I need my own social media manager. Too bad I can't hire one because I don't quite have the funds for it. But I'll say this, man. I just run out of stuff to promote for myself. I would love to even go into this and not, don't mean to take over the show, but the stuff I've done over the summer.
I think fans would prefer that. So go ahead.
The stuff I've done over the summer is almost just completely different than stuff that I've done over my career in media. I was actually in the gym with my buddies over at Run the Show, who is a training program that have helped out with a bunch of local talents and in high school, but also at the pro level, at the middle school level, elementary level, even helping them do some youth training and, simple stuff like dribble, pass, defensive stances, whatever it may be. But I was also in the gym with NBA players and rebounding and passing for them. it was such a surreal experience for me, and it's just got me itching to get to the other side at some point in my life too. So
Sure.
the most important thing that I tell Cade, my brother that I was talking about earlier at Capitol, is the importance of networking and the importance of how much you don't know who's listening, and you don't know who's going to see your stuff. You don't know who knows who. And I feel like that's something that I've really grabbed hold of in my, I can't say later years, but I can say later years, like in my, my 9th, 10th, 11th years of doing this stuff. So it's been such a fun ride, and I can't wait to continue doing it.
Yeah. And like I said, you do such a great job, and that is so true. You never know who's, as media members, we never know who's reading or watching, or, every once in a while, somebody will come up to me, a Cavs player, and say, "Hey, I saw you wrote this about me. Last year, Tristan Thompson jokingly gave me grief for something I wrote about him." I was like, "You read that?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I always check your site." So it is kind of cool. And it is, whatever field you're in. Yeah. Networking is so important. And even though I come across as really obnoxious, I'm pretty introverted. So it's hard for me that was one area that I did not like. I don't want to bother people. I don't want to come across as obnoxious. I don't really want to have to talk to people I don't know. So coming out of my shell as a younger person really, I think, benefited me a little bit. I'm happy to haggle you with email, which I did with Fox Sports Ohio when their job came open to cover the Cavs. So all that aside, we're here to talk about the Cavaliers, and Spence, before I can't stress what a great job you do. And I really hope that everybody follows you, because, to me, you're the best follow, at least if not covering the Cavs, one of the best in the entire league. So I would really stress that people do that. So that said, the Cavs are 8-5. Not, a lot of injuries, little inconsistency, but still pretty good overall. You know what I mean? It's like, I always say, look, the Indiana Pacers started 11-15 last season, right? And came within one game of winning the championship. So, this part of the year, but just through 13 games, what's your early, maybe main takeaway so far?
There's some bad habits being built. I don't want to go too in depth on it, because, as you said, you look at the Pacers start last year. You look at Boston Celtics, a couple years ago, they're 19-20 in the middle of December. They end up winning the ship. So how much can you really take from it? But in this moment, I don't like what they're doing in second quarters. There's a formula that the Cavs have right now, and that's come out guns a-blazing, 7-0 run to start the game. It seems like every game it's 7-0. I think it was 15-5 the other day. It was like 4 minutes in, and they just have everything working. Their defensive intensity's up. Their offense is clicking, balls moving around. And then for some reason, they just can't maintain that level in the second quarters. Second quarters coming into Wednesday, they were minus 46. That's bottom 3 in the league. I don't like seeing that, because if your worst quarter is the second quarter and your second worst quarter is the fourth quarter, that's not a recipe for success. It's good to start the game off right. It's good to come out of the locker room at halftime the right way. But having those two be your worst quarters is just not going to cut it. So I think there's a certain level of mental focus they need to have. They have to do a better job of being aware, I think, too, because a lot of these teams that they've been playing early in the season have been the faster-paced teams in the league. You look at the Raptors twice. Miami is the top of the league. They played them twice this week on the road, by the way. And then you have to also factor in the schedule, and it's easy to say that because you see 5 and 7, you have a road home back-to-back, there's all that. But when you look at last night, the guys that didn't even play on Wednesday, Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley, were not good. And you can see 31 points from Donovan Mitchell, but he couldn't shoot. He was getting to the rack and drawing fouls. Like, he got 17 free throw attempts, but just not the right way. He had 7 turnovers. That's not conducive to winning basketball. And then with With Evan Mobley, we could do a whole show on Evan Mobley. There's a lot of expectation on this kid. A lot.
Yeah.
You have Kenny Atkinson talking about how he's going to be an MVP candidate. Donovan Mitchell propping him up in podcasts all off season. Offensive leap coming. It's just been looking a little bit uncomfortable for him. And I think that right now it's good to experiment in the regular season, but for him to get himself right and to get his confidence back, I guess, you got to put him in positions to be successful. And what is that? It's catching drives. It's face up so that he can hit cutters on the baseline. Jump hooks, whatever it may be. But bringing the ball up with him as much as they have been, I don't know if that's the right way to do it at this moment. You can slowly introduce that stuff. It's not easy when teams start to guard you when you cross half court. Evan's got all the physical tools in the world. I was stunned by how that game went on Thursday night because he usually salivates seeing Scotty Barnes. That is somebody that he's always going to be compared to because of the Rookie of the Year race 4 or 5 years ago, whatever it was. And Scotty took him to the woodshed in that game. I have not seen Evan play that timid probably since his rookie year. He took 7 shots in 35 minutes. Just not enough, not aggressive enough. Just looked, again, I think timid is the word. And what's weird about that is that, he comes through huge on Monday in that crazy overtime game against the Heat. Huge 3-point shot, big time put back dunk, swats, I think it was Norman Powell on the other end to lead to a possession. So he's capable. I just think there's a lot on his shoulders. I think there's a human element to this more than an ability element to this with Evan.
Yeah.
And it's something that growth isn't linear. Progress isn't linear, as Donovan said in the locker room last night. And they've got to find better ways to put him in position to be successful. He's got to also find a way to be more vocal and demand the ball. But he doesn't look like himself right now. And I think that's okay, but it's also all right to be concerned with that because this is a guy that they're going to be depending on for their franchise.
Yeah, right. And Spence, what's funny is he had such a huge game, Evan Mobley did, against the Raptors last time, because if you remember, Donovan was out. I think Jarrett was out that game.
He owns Scotty. Yeah, I remember that too.
Yeah, that was, what, a week and a half ago? So yeah, I saw that and was just like, okay, you sat out last night. They set Donovan and Evan out the night before so that they would be ready for this. And Donovan, like you said, 31 points, but did not shoot well, was 2 of 9 on threes, looked out of sorts, 7 turnovers, just did not look right. And I don't say that like health wise. It's just he was out of sorts basketball wise.
Dribbled the ball off his ankle.
Right. And then threw away a couple of passes. I'm like, what are you doing? That's not typical of him. And then of course, Evan Mobley 7 shots, which was 1 less than second round pick rookie Tyrese Proctor took in the game. So yeah, I'm with you. Jared Allen looked worn down, maybe a little understandably so from the 30-point night the night before. And then last night just wasn't able to get anything going. Again, I'm never concerned at this. I might be concerned if they were 2-11 or something. But, I mean, there are some things there that I'm like, okay, why aren't the Cavaliers rebounding better? There's a few times last night I just saw Evan standing there under the basket waiting for the ball to come to him. And I'm not trying to pick on anybody, but these are things that we see. So if we see them, they're seeing them, Kenny Atkinson and Kobe Altman and the coaching staff. So to me, I just my thing that I'm noticing is the things that they were talking about the playoffs last year, that why they got eliminated, are kind of still around to me. That's where I'm they don't look, at least not yet. Again, small sample size. It doesn't look to me like they've maybe fixed us. Toronto played last night like the Indiana Pacers played last year against the Cavs, I thought. Very physical, trapping Mitchell. Now, in the Cavs defense, obviously it's a different element with Darius Garland out there, as well as even now Jalen Tyson, who gives them energy and a little physicality. But I just saw some things and have seen some things that, hey, look, the Cavs are 8-5. They're like a game and a half, 2 games out of first place in the Eastern Conference. So, it's not, we're nitpicking a little bit, but there are some things that I think that they need to get cleaned up. And I don't, what are your thoughts on the rebounding, this kind of physical play that maybe they still haven't mastered that got them eliminated last year?
Well, I think with the rebounding, it's a really intriguing portion of this. When you watch these games, it's usually not the ones that they're fighting in the paint for, like in yesteryear. These are ones that are coming off back iron and they're landing at the free throw line. They're landing at some place outside of the perimeter because so many threes are getting up. So at that point, it's on your guards, it's on your forwards to go attack that ball, read it off the back iron, and figure out where it's going to be, get your body on somebody else, and make sure that they don't get it. It's a want. It's not an easy game because sometimes it really does come back down to some bad luck. And I think that the Cavs did do better on the glass the last couple of weeks, especially the offensive glass. The way that they've been attacking those boards has been phenomenal. But a lot of these ones that are going against them, I feel like it's just a will thing, and you have to get on the ground for them. You got to time your jumps right. You got to time, how it goes. Like, rebounding is an art. Like, you watch Dennis Rodman, obviously, in the 90s, and the way that he was just phenomenal at reading the basketball coming off of the rim. And I think there's a lot of things that guys can watch that kind of film and figure out angles and all that sorts of stuff. Like, it's more than just the stuff that the Browns fans want to talk about when they watch the Cavs because they want them to play football and be physical and be all tough. I had people in my mentions talking about physicality in a 140-138 loss on Monday, and I'm like, are you nuts? No, this is about other things. It's definitely a different game. It's a changing game. It's more fast-paced. It's a copycat league. You said the Raptors played like the Pacers. I think Miami played like the Pacers. They were pushing off of makes and misses, off inbound passes, off of rebounds, all that stuff. To me, this is saying that not everybody in the Cavs is as well-conditioned as they were talking about in training camp. That's what it comes down to me. You know who is? Craig Porter Jr., Jalen Tyson, Tyrese Proctor, Naquan Tomlin, as you saw the last couple of nights. Those guys, the young guys, are well-conditioned. Core players, maybe not as much. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that an indictment that the quote-unquote other guys won in Miami on Wednesday night by double digits on the road against the same exact team, literally the same exact team, and then the starters came back on Thursday, supposed to be well-rested, Donovan and Evan specifically, and laid an egg? Yes, there's obviously a reason to be mad at that. There's a reason to be angry at that. They just didn't have it, but you've got to know that's coming. You got to understand your personnel and know that the Raptors are going to push the ball, especially because it was exactly like the game you played on Halloween against them. They were pushing the ball like crazy. You know who changed the game in those both was Jamal Shed and Sandro Mamishvili. Those guys changed the game. And it happened again last night. It was like deja vu. And forgive me for plugging real quick. I did talk to Jamal Shed about how good he's been playing for the Toronto bench. It's over at rg.org. It literally just went up this morning. But anyhow,
I'll have to check it out because he's absolutely last year. I was like, wow, this guy's very impressive.
Fast, tough. I really there's nothing to me like a gritty small guard with who, he's 200 pounds. Like, he's a big dude. But he is fast as heck. And him and Marcus Sasser both have had really solid careers after a 4-year stint over at Houston with the legendary Kelvin Sampson, of course. But to the point with the Cavs, like, it just seems like these teams are faster than them, and they've got the Cavs scrambling in rotation. I asked a very specific question to Kenny pregame yesterday about how to guard teams when they're in the catch and they're in the triple threat position, whether, because you don't know if they're going to shoot, you don't know if they're going to drive,
Right.
and you don't know if they're going to try to move the ball over to the next person. It's really tough. You got to think on your feet. It's not easy to defend these days, and I know people say that the NBA doesn't have any defense, but go look at the difference in the miles traveled. Go look at the difference in the speed between now and even 20 years ago, and you will be astounded. Sure. And it's a completely different game. A lot of 5 out, less of the presence inside, and it's a different game now. But I'm not going to excuse the Cavs for that. I'm not going to excuse the Cavs for that. They got to be better.
Right. And to me, it seems like, I guess one thing I guess I could ask you is, what last year it was like the regular season, obviously, played one way. The playoffs became an entirely different game, not just for the Cavs, but for everyone. People would say that the 90s were physical, and they were, but I can honestly tell you that I never saw such physical basketball in the NBA, and I've been following it for 40 years, as I did in the playoffs last year. It was like a different game. And I don't know if I liked that. I was like, they let them play one way all regular season, and then you get into the playoffs, and now, I mean, trust me, I loved watching the playoffs. Don't get me wrong, but I was just like, this is almost like they've changed the sport to the point where, you're allowed to push and shove and grab and claw, and it to me it was almost a totally different game than they were allowed. Maybe it was just me though. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Freedom of movement no longer present in the playoffs, right? Like that rule went right out the window. I mean, I think you saw it even just watching the Thunder and the Pacers, who are pretty much equal as far as like their style of play. Was a lot of these bigger built guards that were picking up full court. You have Lou Dort and Aaron Nesmith, or if you look at the finals last year, just were able to get away with a lot. They were able to get away with a lot, and that doesn't. That's not an indictment on their play style. No. Take advantage of that for all means, for sure. But they are some big built guards that were guarding really hard, and coming off screens, all that stuff. Like you could get handsy as you want. You could. Not throw a bow, but you could throw a hard shoulder if you wanted to on a box out. Like it was fun to watch. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of liked it, but I'm with you. Like, what's the line here? Which message are you trying to send? Be consistent in what you're calling. So that's all. That's really what I would say.
Yeah, I get that you're allowed to be more physical in the playoffs, but I was like, okay, this went from freedom of movement. You really almost not, I don't want to say this too much, but exaggerating. You're almost not allowed to guard guys in the perimeter, or at least have a decent closeout during the regular season. Then all of a sudden it turns into, hand-to-hand combat in the playoffs. And I enjoyed watching it. I think it's cool that teams like the Cavs, that were built like the Cavs, like the Pacers, Thunder, Nuggets, and it's not all these, teams like, and nothing against the Lakers or the Celtics or the Knicks, but you have these mid-market, small market teams that are now very much in the mix. I think the NBA now, because of that, on a personal level, is so cool. Just because all of a sudden, here we are, mid-markets have every bit of a chance as the teams that have the huge followings. So I think that element's cool. But let me ask you this. What is the difference when Darius Garland's on the floor and when he's not for the whole team?
Huge, man. I mean, the Cavs right now don't have anyone that can break down guys off the dribble. Like you have Donovan Mitchell, and he has this amazing dribble package. You have Craig Porter Jr., who does a great job in, the pick and roll and can do that. But with Darius, there's like this lateral movement. There's this herky-jerkiness to his game that allows him to break the paint. And that's what the Cavs have not done nearly enough this year so far, is break the paint, spray out, and make sure that you're getting the ball in rotation and making the defense move. Not enough of that this year for the Cavs offense, consistently at least. Darius brings that element in spades, and he's one of my favorite point guards to watch because it's almost as if when you watch football, and I've made this analogy so many times, so forgive me. I haven't done it on this show, so
so you haven't done it here, so it's not official.
If you watch the NFL, a lot of stuff in college there's a lot of option, right? There's read option with the quarterback, whether he's going to keep the ball, whether he's going to hand it off to the running back. It's all about reading the defense and how they react. The linebacker, whether the defensive end is going to stay home or if he's going to go to the outside and try to protect the runner. With Darius, when he comes off of that screen, whether it's Jared Allen, whether it's Evan Mobley, whoever it is, he has that amazing feel of whether to throw an alley-oop, go off the high glass with his own floater, try to draw a foul, or spray out to the other side of the other corner for a three.
Yeah.
He is so dynamic in that ability that I don't think people understand how difficult it is to do what he does. And everyone goes after him for his defense. Mm-hmm. I thought last year he played good defense. I thought he was good. I thought he was good off the ball. I thought he was playing like a cornerback, getting a bunch of pick sixes. Yes, teams are going to target him. I understand that. But the thing is, his upper body strength is a lot better this year. And it's only been 2 games that you've seen it, but you can see it. Because he had surgery on his toe, obviously. It forced him to get into the weight room and start working on his biceps, curl a little bit, get a little bit more of the strength in the upper body, the shoulders. And physically, he looks different. And people don't want to hear that, but he does. He looks different. And to me, I think he's got plenty of ability off ball defensively to make sure that he's allowed to be on the court. Like a lot of people think that he can't be a court because he's a defensive liability. I think what he gives you offensively and how he changes this team's dynamic is much, much more important than maybe a couple times that he gets targeted defensively. Yeah. And that's something that Kenny said last year too. And I thought that DG did a great job when on switches. Specifically, I remember Jason Tatum. They baited Jason Tatum into taking these like 10-foot push shots because he had an advantage on DG. But DG did a good job staying up. Early in the season last year, DG got some big stops on Jalen Brunson. So like, that's not going to be the number one reason he's on the court. But what he brings on the other end, I think that no one can replicate on this team. And it's his own pace, and he organizes. And if people get so wrapped up in weaknesses in basketball that they don't pay attention to the strengths. And every team in the league right now, I guarantee you, would take Darius Garland as their starting point guard, a 2-time All-Star, someone who has a really good three-point shot on the catch, on the pull-up, and someone who's got eyes in the back in front of his head. Like he's somebody that makes a huge difference. And luckily, the toe injury is only day-to-day, as Kenny Atkinson told us yesterday. So we'll see how the injury management plan goes, but it's big time. I did want to make one more point, too, if that's okay.
Sure.
On
Please.
The Cavs. 15-0 start last year. You gave yourself no chance. You had 3 15-game winning streaks last year. Yeah. You gave yourself no chance this year as far as expectations go. They were always going to be elevated. How do you beat that? How is that possible? So I think that also set an unprecedented level to try and reach this season. And, a lot of this is about experimentation in the regular season. As Donovan Mitchell said it last night, it's about the young guys like Porter and Tyson and Proctor, even Tomlin to an extent, getting these minutes, making sure that when playoff time comes around, you can depend on them for like 8 to 10 minute stretches. Like that's what this is about. And the regular season, for some reason, it didn't matter last year, and now it matters because the Cavs are losing games, right?
Right. So last year, 15-0 doesn't matter till the playoffs, and now everybody's like, well, they're not ready for the playoffs.
And I feel like I'm not over-exaggerating that reaction either. It's so funny. It's so funny how people see these things. But
Spencer, I always say to remember that the word fan, and we love them to death, but it is short for fanatical. And I have a buddy who treats every Cavs regular season game like it's that Browns Steelers playoff game or Browns Chiefs playoff game from a few years ago. I'm like, dude, there are 73 more of these things. Relax, you know?
No, that's what I try to relate to my friends, to my family. And I think now that my family has somebody who's in an actual season playing at a D3, they kind of got that in their moment now. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, there is another one coming. Yeah, they didn't have it tonight. Blah, blah, you know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they're kind of at least seeing it from a college perspective. But with this, you can't have your cake and eat it too. If the regular season didn't matter last year, then why does it matter this year if they're losing?
Right.
Like, it's kind of where we are as a sports society now, I think. It's
we don't want to enjoy success, and we want to overkill the couple of bad moments. You know, to me, and I put this in my columns all the time because I always feel the need to remind people, guess what? The Cavs are going to have at least 3 or 4 more ugly, bad losses this year. And that every team's going to go through that. The Oklahoma City Thunder are going to go through that. And they're going to have some really, really big wins on the road. We've seen this, Spencer. We've been doing it for, 100 years. We know what's coming. But like you said, what's the point of this regular season right now is, as you said, Donovan Mitchell said as well, get these young guys, get into a flow. Brad Sellers, the former NBA player who obviously from Cleveland, said this time of year is to shore up, focus and emphasize the things you're not doing well while not losing sight of the stuff that you are. And really work on that stuff you're not doing well, but you don't want to lose. To me, it's like they are a different team all the way around, shockingly, without your all-star point guard. I mean, he's an all-star point guard. Like you said, he gets to wherever he wants on the floor. He's like one of 4 or 5 guys in the league who could say that about. And his defense is better. And look, anytime anybody says anything about his defense, I'm like, have you ever seen Damian Lillard defend? Have you ever seen Steph Curry defend? Darius Garland's at least as good as those guys, if not better. And I'm not saying they're terrible defenders. I'm just saying that, that's not why he's on the floor. Like you said, there are any at least survives in that area. So, final thought, the Cavs have 5 in a row now coming up again. The total of 6 in a row, but excluding last night's game, 5 in a row. What am I right, Spencer? There's a day off between every one of these next 5 in a row at home. What are you expecting this long game arc to kind of look like?
Well, I think they are tired. They're definitely tired. And you see the amount of games they've had in November. It's a huge homestand, so it's at least good for them to lick their wounds. Good timing that the Memphis Grizzlies, who are undergoing catastrophe right now, are coming into Rocket Arena on Saturday. I think the Cavs should be able to take care of business on a night like that. Milwaukee's good. They're nice, man. I like them a lot. That should be a good test again. On Monday, they obviously beat the Bucks in their first meeting towards the beginning of the season, but you never, ever count out someone like Giannis. Ryan Rollins, a local Mac product, had a heck of a game on that night too.
Toledo.
So keep an eye on that. The Pacers, no matter who's out there on the floor, they're always going to play hard. They're always going to give you a tough time. I'm not going to even try to predict that one. Clippers, also another team that's going down right now. Poor Ty Lue. It just seems like there's just a disconnectedness with that squad right now. And, Bradley Beal's trying to fight through some injuries. Harden's still brilliant. Zubac still gives you a lot of problems. And obviously Kawhi Leonard is Kawhi Leonard. But that should be one that you win at this moment. But, it's not getting any easier. Five games in 7 nights is crazy, first of all. Second of all, like just having a day in between, you don't have any time to practice. This is on the
No.
NBA. This is completely on the league. And this is league wide.
Yes.
And that's why Kenny said, I think it was in Detroit, when they started a game, they started the season 3-4. Okay, so they went to New York to start the year, then they were in Brooklyn, and then they were at home against the Bucks, and then immediately in Detroit on Monday. And someone asked about, like, you know, how do you go about preserving your stars' health and in your players to make sure that they're good to go throughout the season? And immediately Kenny went into a diatribe, and it was based off of what Steve Kerr was saying, trying to make the season a little bit shorter with 72, less 3-4s, fewer back-to-backs, and you'll have a better product. Is Donovan Mitchell really giving you the best on his third night, that after he played 40 minutes, 35 minutes, and then the last one? Is he really at his best? Is, you know, like, so that's up for discussion. I know that people are going to say that they're whining. I'm just being the messenger here, but I kind of agree with it.
You're going to take the grief anyway.
Hey, I'll say this, man. Like, I experienced my first 3-4. I did. It had me spinning. I was at Madison Square Garden. I was at Barclays Center. I was back home for the Cavs opener at Rocket Arena, and then I went to Little Caesars Arena to watch that Pistons game. Yeah. And my mind was spinning. In 1 week, and I know that these players aren't going out and having a good time and stuff like that. And I only did that once, by the way, in that week. But sure. I can see why, you know, like, you don't know what day it is. You don't know what time it is. And yes, they're professional athletes. Yes, they're getting paid all this money, but there's also the human side to it. And after that travel and all that other stuff, like, I can understand it. I'm not going to excuse it for yesterday, but I can understand it. So it just kind of gave me a little bit of a firsthand look, you know, put yourself in their shoes moment. And I think that's pretty telling.
I remember it probably was right around that time that I started hanging out with you, which obviously the best decision of my life. But I remember they played like Indiana. This is like 2013 or something. And they played Indiana, Chicago, and Detroit. Or I'm sorry, Indiana, Milwaukee, Detroit. And I went to all 3 road games. They played them like 3 and 4 nights. When I woke up in Detroit, which was the last stop, I remember waking up thinking, where am I again? Like, for the first couple minutes, I'm like, oh, right, Detroit. But yeah, you think about how that impacts us. That's a very small sample size, what you just gave and what I just gave, compared to an entire season of this, where you're probably looking at, you know, what city am I in? Oh yeah, I have a game in a couple hours. I got to go down to shoot around right now. Anyway, Spencer, thanks so much for joining. Great stuff as always. Highly encourage you. I will say this, Spence, and I'm not just, I don't normally blow smoke, you know, to my guests, but usually when I'll talk to people about other people in the league, and you know, if I mention you, every time, you're the only guy I can say this about. The only person that I could say this about when I'm talking to other people in the league, it's always followed by, oh, Spencer's great. Love Spencer. You know, I have to shoot him down. I'm like, he's all right. But everybody I talk to, and you know, Bob Finan, a couple of the other writers have come up to me. Did you see Spencer's stuff? So that's very rare, where, in fact, I can say in all my years covering the league, I've never had anybody to a man or a woman say, oh, you know, this guy's great. He does great work. He's a great guy. And even when you are a great guy sometimes, such as myself, that still doesn't come out that way. You know, some people, I hate that guy. You know, I never once in probably 7-8 years that, you know, your name has come up that I've heard a negative word about you. So I think that speaks not only to the work that you do, but the person you are. So I'm happy to know you. I'm happy that you reached out to me while you were on summer vacation in Maryland, And I do remember, now that my memory's jogged a little bit, we would meet at the Barnes & Noble in Fairlawn to ride to the game together a lot. Yeah, I do remember that. And I was single at the time, and I would, tell a lot of single guy jokes that I was thankful that you haven't repeated. It wasn't anything dirty. It was just, Sam's out chasing women. So that was a lifetime ago.
Dig up the old photos. Dig up the old photos from the Clevelander. We got them in there.
Yeah, right. Right. Yeah. So anyway, thanks so much for joining, Spence. I appreciate it. And I guess I'll see you tomorrow, right? 5:00 tip-off, Cavs, Grizzlies. Spencer's the one guy you can just about always guarantee is going to be there at the game, regardless of whether Ohio State's playing or whatever. So thanks so much for joining, Spence, and everybody else. Thanks so much for watching, and be back here next Friday, and we'll talk to you then.